Okay, hello. Let's try again. Like these streams, I'm not sure the format. Like originally it was just engineer at work, which was like doing streams on everyday work at Code Sandbox, and that was really fun. But it just took too much time away from just working closely with the team. So it didn't quite work in that sense. And then I've been doing these like random streams, and I don't think it's worth that much, at least on this channel, to just go in and like do random things. It should be very Code Sandbox related. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to actually do like triage stuff. Let's fix some like smaller bugs, and in that sense, we'll dive into some code we're actually using Code Sandbox, and yeah, I think that's valuable. So let's see what we can take a look at here. I so I updated Mac OS, and doing so, my HP, I had two monitors, and my HP monitor stopped working. So I was pissed, and then I changed to a single monitor, and then I was like, yeah, this is actually quite nice. And then it's like, what about this Studio Display from Apple? It costs a shit ton of money. And then I don't know even why I started thinking about it, but then started making excuses. Okay, so one thing is just having a kick-ass monitor. I had so much stuff on my desk. I had like this camera, I had speakers and stuff like that. And the thing that really sold me is that I normally need my curtains shut to be able to work at all. But the Studio Display has a version that has this like in nano technology that is like the monitor is just as nice with like full sunshine as opposed to no sunshine, and it's fucking amazing. So, but it costs way too much money. But I was able to sell a ton of equipment as well, so that was another excuse. Anyways, so I'm actually using the Studio Display now. It's pretty cool. Anyways, let's dive into something. I just need to organize I have so much stuff here. Overlays, and let's keep the comments there. I don't need the interview thing. I don't care about sound levels. And it's nice to have a view of what you are seeing. So, okay, let's try it. Okay, so I'm going to prioritize a little bit. It's kind of weird in Linear that when I click this view, it says it's ordering by priority, but it isn't actually doing that. So I'm not sure what that's about. Let's see. Yeah, this has quite high priority. The first commit can error, and we do not deal with that now. There can be two reasons for this. Yeah, maybe we should take a look at that one. It's a little bit complicated because it's cross stack. Yeah, and here, oops, what did I do? Hello. This one is not really that urgent. It's been like this for a long time. It's just when we do the onboarding, we say that you can start VS Code, but you can't start VS Code on a protected branch. So it's kind of weird. But yeah, I asked some questions around that. Sandbox limit being reached. Yeah, this one's, yeah, and then we have improve OT resync. That's quite important. Yeah. Though I had this other thing I was looking at. Where's that? Yeah. Weird. I thought I was looking at an issue. Was it here? No. Okay. Anyways, maybe we can look at this. Because we have operational transforms we use for collaboration. we have this opportunity to improve the resync. So if you're disconnected and we reconnect, there's a chance that we do a bad sync. Well, I wouldn't say that this is so important because it's very unlikely to happen. Well, actually it can. Let's see. No, it's very unlikely to happen. So I would change this to medium. Let's see if we can find something that I think is more important. So we have instant open redirect on live preview. Is this version 1? Oh yeah, this is a version 1 thing. Login option, preview images, not like, yeah, this is version 1. I haven't been in a Codebase for ages. Yeah, this is a bigger issue. Where the hell? Okay, let's just do this one so that we can do something. And also, wait, this one. We should do this one. The thing is, when we show a disconnect model, but there is an issue on it. I'll explain it. Let's see. Let's go in and create a branch. Let's see. And I might zoom in a little bit here because I guess the resolution is quite high. And we'll just open this in a new tab. That's how I typically do it. And then let's create a terminal here. New terminal. And let's shove that down there. Cool. So the thing is, I actually know where this piece of logic is. It is, we have something called the disconnected model. And in this disconnected model, we have this reference we use. So let's see, we're going to check where we're using this first. Because it's when we move into the disconnected state. Yeah, we move into the disconnected state. And then we have picture here. I'm trying to think about when this should be shown. So what happens is if you're disconnected, we try to reconnect you. Except when it's hibernation. When it's hibernation, you'll just be you're disconnected, but the project editor doesn't know you're disconnected until you actually focus the tab again. So this is a true disconnect. So you've been disconnected, we've been trying to reconnect you, it doesn't work, and we show you the disconnect model. So the thing is, for this model to actually show, you have to look at the tab at the moment where we actually move you into disconnected. So you might be disconnected, we're trying to reconnect you, and you might move away from the tab. And as you move away from the tab, you're disconnected. And then when you get back, we don't show the disconnected model. Then we'll just try to reconnect you again. And I think it should behave that way. We don't really want to show this model. But the problem is if you click that reconnect button, so you have the model open, you click the reconnect button, and for some reason you move away from the tab, and then you get disconnected again. No, it should actually work. Wait a minute. Is this an actual problem? Wait until a full disconnect. Focus the tab. Do not show the tab and disconnect it. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So the issue is if this is complicated, because if you get disconnected when you're not showing the tab, and then you go in and reconnect, and then you get disconnected again, we don't show the disconnected model. Because you were not... Wait a minute. Don't we do that? Ah, and I can't really test this while streaming because I can't disconnect my internet. Fudge. Yeah, I wonder how this actually occurred. I am a little bit confused. Because it should not matter what state we're in. Because when we're disconnected, that's the only time we actually show this. So it's when this is mounted, we actually figure out. But why do we have this initial ref? I don't think it makes sense. Because this is only mounted. Oh yeah, sorry. Because you can be disconnected and then you can move in and out of the tab, changing the visibility, but we're sticking with the initial visibility, of course. Focus the tab. So full disconnect happens. So we are disconnected and then we focus the tab. Okay, so the thing that's confusing me is that Pitcher client, which actually deals with the actual connection state and the reconnect, it doesn't expose all the state to the project editor. So for example, if you're actually disconnected and you refocus the tab, it's like reconnecting inside Pitcher client, but you're still like disconnected. That's what I'm unsure about. Are you? So if you're disconnected and you focus the tab, we attempt a reconnect, and that creates a reconnecting event. And that reconnecting event is picked up by this legacy layer we still have, which we're going to remove. But for now, we still have it. And if we are reconnecting, we fire off an event that we are reconnecting to the editor. And is that actually being... state reconnecting? Does it actually have a reconnecting state? Oh, do we actually have? Oh, so, okay. So we do, yeah, sorry. So we have a reconnecting state. But how would this work? So if I am disconnected and we get a reconnecting event, it moves into reconnecting. Yeah, so this is what I'm confused about. Like, then it moves into reconnecting, and if we get disconnected again, we move into the disconnected state, and then it should show the... Yeah, so I guess it's like, it was such a curious case because it went like through 2 disconnect loops, and it depends if you're focusing the tab or not. Like, you have to be focusing the tab exactly when, and this was a collaboration thing, so the other user actually got the disconnected model, but this first user didn't get it. And it makes sense, because if you weren't focusing the tab exactly when you were disconnected, we would rather just trigger the reconnect again when you focus the tab. But is that the UX we want? Like, when should we actually show this disconnected model? So what could be a different problem here is really that whenever we focus, where is it? Whenever we focus the tab, oh, maybe that's the problem. Yeah, because the other issue could be that this user focused the tab. It went through 1 reconnect loop, and then they moved away from the tab. So it went into reconnecting as it focused the tab, but then as it resolved to disconnecting again, we have this check. Are you focused and not reconnected, or the reconnect attempts is less than 3? Then attempt another reconnect. The thing is, I don't think we should care about it being focused when you have the additional attempts. So if you first focus the tab to do like a reconnect, it should continue that reconnect loop until it's exhausted, even though you focus away from the tab again. Yeah, I think that's the issue. Because then what would happen is that this user would actually focus a tab, would trigger another reconnect, would focus away, it wouldn't start another reconnect. It moved into disconnected, which happens here. And then they would focus the tab again. But then it would try another reconnect attempt. Yeah, but another piece of this story is that the first user would actually try to refresh the browser, and then they were reconnected, which indicates that it actually like stopped reconnecting. God damn it. This is so difficult to reason about and figure out what actually happened here. I'm wondering if we need to simplify this. Should we simplify this? Like, yeah, and maybe we shouldn't even consider this a high priority issue because it's so hard to reproduce. And but yeah, I thought I knew what was happening here, but I don't think I actually know what's happening. And the details are a little bit fuzzy from the reporting perspective. But the thing that should never happen is that you can reconnect and it doesn't do it. So I wonder if there's a state where you're disconnected, but for some reason, and you would expect the disconnected model to appear, but it doesn't. Yes, I think that's the thing. Like, it's this toggling of the tab that's like messing this up, and I wonder like what should. So if you're working, yeah, so this is the thing. So if you're working in the editor, like that's the user experience we want. If you're working in the editor and for some reason you're disconnected, it tries to reconnect and it doesn't help, then it should show the model. But if for some reason you were to focus the tab and trigger a reconnect loop, it should also show disconnected. It's only when fuck. I'm having such a hard time reasoning about this. Because what happens normally is that you get disconnected, and it can be because it was hibernated, the VM was hibernated. And in that case, okay, so let's imagine that for some reason you were working, you didn't work anymore, maybe you hibernated your own computer, the VM got hibernated, you open up your laptop, it refocuses the app, it reconnects, and for some reason that reconnect doesn't occur. The disconnected model should appear. But what if you, for some reason, navigated away? So you focus the tab, maybe that is the difference, if it's hibernated or not. So when we get a disconnect because it's hibernated, then we don't show the disconnected model. If you get disconnected for any other reason, we always show the disconnected model. Yeah, okay, it's okay. Because we have this state on disconnected, which states if it was a clean disconnect or not. And if it's a clean disconnect, yeah. So if it's a clean disconnect, it means it's an intentional disconnect. And that means we hibernated, or we were, I guess there's no other scenario for this as of now, though you can like technically disconnect cleanly. Then we don't show the disconnect model. But if it was an unclean disconnect and we weren't able to reconnect, then we show the disconnected model. Because that also means if you were hibernated, you had a clean disconnect, you go back and you try to reconnect and you get disconnected again, that's an unclean disconnect. So we show the disconnected model. Okay, I'm happy with that. I think that's the way to deal with it. Yeah, and it's such a better way to think about it. So instead of like thinking about it as like user behavior, focusing the tab or not. It doesn't matter how you focus the tab or not. Was it a clean disconnect or was it not a clean disconnect? Because you can't technically have a clean disconnect if you're focusing the tab. I think. Can you have a clean disconnect when you're focusing the tab? That will mean the VM hibernates when you're focusing the tab. And that if that happens, we have a serious bug. Yeah, and what's good about this, we can even state that. That this is like, it's a not a clean, it's an unclean disconnect. We can emphasize more that something unexpected happened. Yeah. Okay, let's try that. We're gonna try that. Okay, so what we need to do is, where the hell is this event we're emitting? So picture disconnected. We need to actually add was clean to this event. Was clean boolean. Was clean, and that would be state was clean. Yep, that's all we need. And then, oh, then I go to the reducer. Where's the reducer? So when we're in a disconnected state, we are going to add was clean boolean. And then when we actually apply this was clean, we get that from the actual event. So we have some indirection here. We have this legacy layer, which are these events. So currently we still have to use it, but we are moving towards removing it. So that is good. Cool. So now we have that state. So when we actually consume this component now, container here, that's the state of the this is so old legacy stuff here as well. Now we have this container was, yeah, let's call it was clean disconnect, just to, then we don't show anything. So we're going to remove, completely remove the is visible stuff. It also makes more sense. Was clean disconnect, let's fix that. Was clean disconnect, and then in the reducer we just say was clean disconnect. Cool. Now we can't really test this. I can go and grab my computer though, my laptop, and we can test it. Let's see. Yeah, it's kind of cool. You saw it updated. This is something we're shipping soon. It's AI-driven commit messages. Yeah, that's a pretty good commit message. It's pretty impressive, this AI stuff. And we have tons of stuff that's coming up for this. Okay, so I think I'm happy about this. We should just test it. So I'm just going to open this on my laptop to verify that it works. So yeah, I'll be back in 1 minute. Let's see here. Oops. Let's see, Code Sandbox. Wait, we can create the PR for this. Oh, didn't it use the commit message? Oh, because I clicked. Yeah, this is going to be official soon. We've just been testing it. Fix to determine showing the disconnected model. Previously, we used the state of the tab to figure out disconnected should be shown or not. This has caused some unreliable behavior where the model was expected to be shown, but it did not show. I can blow this up a bit. But it did not show. Now we rather check if the disconnection, is that a word? Disconnection was clean or not. A clean disconnect means the VM hibernated. A clean disconnect currently means the VM hibernated. So the thing is, like, if you close the lid on your Mac or your computer, and that's the scenario I'm a little bit uncertain what actually happens, because that might actually the VM hibernates after your computer hibernates. So that means you're kind of though we can test that. And now I'll check if the disconnection was clean or not. Clean disconnect currently means the VM hibernates, meaning you will not see the disconnected model as we immediately reconnect when focused. Any other disconnect reason will show the model regardless of focusing the tab or not. Okay, fixes. What was the name of it? Okay, and we'll see what we need to test here, but let's create draft for now. We should probably document this better as well. Let's make that part of the... But yeah, I'm just going to test it on my laptop. And of course, I can also tell sleep. Yeah, I guess that's hibernate. There we go. Opening it up. Let's see. Yeah, sorry I can't show you this, but that would be kind of cool if I could add like a camera. Well, I'm going to disconnect my Wi-Fi, so yeah, it wouldn't matter. Still can stream the contents. Let's see, I'm just logging in here. And then let's create a branch. And then let's see, we are going to what are we going to do? First, we are going to test my hibernation theory. So that's something we can force during testing. So I'm opening the preview on a test branch. I'm going to tell Pitcher to hibernate, and then we'll wait a few seconds. We'll wait a few seconds, and then we're going to focus the other tab again, and then we should not see a disconnected. And we should rather see when I focus it that it reconnects, and that would be a success, unless my Wi-Fi is gone, and we get a not clean disconnect again. Okay, so let's see. Let's see now. I'm focusing, and I did not have the disconnected model. Let's double check the state. No, it didn't reconnect. Ah, was it too fast? Oh, god damn it. Okay. Let's try again. Oops. Okay, Pitcher, hibernate. Cool, let's wait a few seconds. But we can document this in the meantime. Yeah, it's interesting because this is more UX based, while this documentation is more Pitcher client. Yeah, we should rather comment it in the disconnected model. This model shows if we got disconnected and it was not a clean disconnect. A clean disconnect means the VM notified that it was hibernating. The VM notified that it was hibernating. Before showing the model, there will always be attempts to reconnect first. That should be helpful. Okay, let's see. If I focus again now. Yeah, there was no disconnected, and we're trying to reconnect, and I reconnected successfully. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to do exactly the same, but after I hibernate, I'm going to disconnect my Wi-Fi on my laptop, and then I'm going to refocus the tab. To trigger a reconnect. And then I'm going to focus away from it again. And then we're going to wait. And then we're going to focus back. And then I should see the disconnected model. Now, the thing we haven't fixed here is that if I focus the tab, it does a single reconnect attempt. And if I move away again, it... yeah, I think we should fix that as well. Because it doesn't really make sense that we check... it doesn't really make sense that we check here that we are focused. So if we get from the connection that we are disconnected, and we are not currently reconnecting, well, that's the thing. Like, yeah. So the is focus should be related to this thing. Or state is connecting, and yeah, so this is the thing. Where the hell is this format? There we go. So whenever we get it disconnected from the connection, if we are focused and the state is not currently reconnecting, we're going to start the reconnect loop. If we are already reconnecting and we have less attempts than 3, we'll attempt another reconnect, regardless of it being focused or not. So we only start the reconnect loop if we are actually focusing the tab when getting disconnected. We only start we always continue the reconnect loop regardless of focusing the tab or not. That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. And that should be part of the docs. Initial keeping detecting disconnects, reconnect flow. When Peter client receives a stage from it, the value for ensuring this was disconnect unwanted. Are we currently focusing? Are we currently for fuck's sake? Are we currently focusing the application? Are we currently? Do we actually check this? I don't think we actually check if it's unwanted. Where was it? Yeah, that's not true. That's only when we focus. Yeah. thing is that like you could technically be focusing the tab and get a hibernation from picture. Like it is possible. And it would hibernate, and when you start doing something, and it would be a clean disconnect. What should happen then? Will we try in any sense to reconnect here? What if you try to make a request? And you're disconnected. What happens then? Request. Yeah, we would just reject it. It should. Okay, let's finish up this first scenario. So we don't actually was the disconnect unwanted. We don't care about that. Yeah, but that means in this case, if we were hibernated and that caused the disconnect, it would actually try to... No, because then we say we're hibernated. Yeah, so we would... Okay. Where is it? Where is it? There it is. So if we get a disconnected event and we're hibernated, or the disconnected was clean, that... Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's what I meant in the documentation. Okay, this is not what... This is wrong. Are we already... Yeah, so, what does this actually mean? So if we get a connection disconnected and we're already hibernated, like, can this ever happen? Yeah, no, this is just a failsafe. Yeah. I don't think this is correct. What we check here, we check if we are focused and not currently reconnecting. We reconnect. So if we think we're connected, we'll trigger a reconnect. And if we're already reconnecting, we keep reconnecting. Are we currently reconnecting? Are we already reconnecting? Are we focused and not currently reconnecting. Are we already reconnecting? Yeah, this is when picture client receives a station from connection. Oh fuck, I'm not reading my own documentation here. So this is generally getting state change from connection. It's not about explicitly getting a disconnect. Yeah. I think. Oh, yeah, this who the hell wrote this documentation? It was me. This is bad. When picture client receives disconnected from connection, it evaluates if a reconnect should happen. This is evaluated by, are we focused and not currently reconnecting? Are we already reconnecting? It will keep the reconnection loop going until exhausted. Regardless of switching focus on the application. Okay, when picture calling gets a focus event, this focus event depends on the application. This and such. Yeah, so in Node or VS Code, it's different than in the browser. A reconnect here. A reconnect here. Are we in hibernated state? Are we in a not clean disconnected state? Yeah, so the thing is, like, some of this is scenarios that we don't really have. So for example, the only clean disconnect is hibernated currently, but technically you can just disconnect picture client, and then we don't want to like show then we want to think of that as a clean disconnected state. Maybe we should just write that. Currently the only clean disconnected state is when hibernated. All right. What the hell we were doing? Was clean disconnect. Show nothing. Or show the model. Clarify. This is pretty awesome. This AI stuff is amazing. But we also did some changes here. What did we actually do? So we're making sure the reconnect continues. And then, what's that? Oh yeah. And then here we there will always be attempts to reconnect first. Okay, so let's push that. And then we're going to do some more testing. What are we going to test? Let's see. I'm going to just refresh both here. Oh yeah, and we need to, of course, build picture client. Build. So what I'm going to test now is I'm going to hibernate. I'm going to move in. Wait, I'm going to hibernate. I'm going to wait a few seconds. I'm going to disconnect my internet. Then I'm going to focus the other tab. It should trigger a reconnect. I'm going to focus away from the tab. And I'm going to allow the reconnect to go through. So when I focus back in the tab, it should show me as disconnected with the disconnected model. And I should see 3 reconnect attempts. Nice. It's really interesting. Like, disconnecting behavior is so core to the product because we have hibernation on the VMs. So that experience needs to be given a lot of thought and attention. And it shouldn't, like, users shouldn't ever feel like the VM is hibernating. Whenever it is, like, it wakes up so insanely quickly. So we just want to make sure that, so if you happen to like open a file immediately as you refocus the tab and wake up the VM, there's just a little bit delay on opening the file. If you start writing code, we have to make sure that we don't get into any collaboration or operational transform issues, as these operations aren't being sent, they are being errored. And then we kind of need to resync them as you actually get connected, and so on and so on. It's very interesting. But as if you watch this, it can be quite confusing, and it's hard to put everything in your brain, especially when you woke up 6 in the morning. Kids. Let's see. Okay, so my test scenario was, first let's go in. Let's make sure we have both tabs here. We do. Let's go in and hibernate. And then we'll wait a few seconds. By the way, nice. Now my Apple Music doesn't seem to get broken when I stream, which is nice. I don't need a second device for that. That is perfect. Okay, let's give it a few more seconds. Okay, so it should be disconnected now. I have a clean disconnect. Let's go in, turn off the Wi-Fi. I'm focusing the tab. I'm just checking if it's reconnecting, moving away from the tab. Let's wait a few seconds. So I think it does 3 attempts, if I'm not mistaken. And for each attempt, it increases by 5 seconds. So it immediately tries to reconnect. Then it waits 5 seconds before it tries again. If it's still disconnected, it waits 10 seconds before it tries again. And I think that's it. It gives up after that. So it does like an immediate reconnect, then wait 5 seconds, then wait 10 seconds, and then it should show the model. Let's just give it a few more seconds. Okay, let's see. Okay, so wait, what happened there? So I got this. Oh, there it popped up. Wait, what happened there? So was I a bit too quick? So we're reconnecting. I'm just checking the state. Oh, fuck. The fucking reconnect model overlays the dev tool. Oh, did I? Okay. Let's see what happened there. So, did it start another loop? Oh, come on. Disconnected. So we got disconnected. Reconnect attempt 2. Oh, we have 2 states here. Reconnect attempt and reconnect attempt. Yeah, so it was disconnected, and the was clean disconnect is false. But I don't think I saw the model. I did see the model, though. I did see it. But it came up after a few seconds. And I'm not sure if I... God damn it, I have to test this again. But let's see. Let me try... Oh, come on. I'll try reconnect. I move away. That's also a good test, actually. If you're already disconnected, try to reconnect. You move away from the tab. Oh, am I being a bit too... Okay, I'm going to try again. I think I'm being a bit too aggressive on focusing the tab. These are the worst things to... Do I have... Oh. Worst thing to test is timing stuff. One thing is writing tests. That's also horrible. But actually testing real behavior. That's horrible. Okay. No, I still don't see the model. But was I... Yeah, and I was disconnected. Why doesn't it show the model? Okay, so that we have a bug. It doesn't do what I expected it to do. So we were definitely disconnected. And that's the weird thing. Was clean disconnect? That was false. So you should definitely... We were... that's weird. I see that we were disconnected. Oh, come on. Was clean disconnect was false. So this should have been shown, but it wasn't. And I wonder... Oh, maybe it's because... Oh, I know. So when we are disconnected... Yeah. Okay. But when we are disconnected and I refocus the tab, we have an unclean disconnect. It will try to reconnect again, which is perfectly fine. So so the model is there. It's just immediately hidden. Is that what we want? Is that what we want? I was now raving about us actually showing the disconnected model as you move back. So maybe that should also be the behavior of... Yeah, so I actually think this is also wrong. Well, that's the big question. So when we focus the tab again and we are disconnected and it wasn't clean, should we then trigger a reconnect again? I don't think, like, thinking about this, like user experience, when you have unclean disconnects, it's better to show that you were disconnected. At least for us, it's better, because then we can actually get some feedback on what the hell happened. because the thing is, there's a lot of history here, and this hibernation state was recently introduced. But what could happen now is that, what if I hibernate my computer? And that causes an not clean disconnect. And then when I open my computer to continue working, I will see it won't try to reconnect. That could happen. And in that case, fuck, this is so difficult. And another tricky thing is that when you hibernate and you reopen your computer, it thinks the tab has been hidden. So it's almost like you tabbed away in terms of the visibility change API. So should we? But this conflicts with what we're trying to fix now, because now we want to highlight that you were disconnected. But we only want to highlight that you're disconnected if we've gone through a reconnect loop. And it failed. Wow, this is so interesting. So let's not think about the hibernating the computer, but what if I just disconnect my internet? Yeah, so that's the thing. Like, if I remove this, what could happen is that when you open the lid of your computer and you look at the tab, you will see the disconnected model, but it will immediately disappear. Well, it won't. Like, yeah, but yeah, you have to explicitly click reconnect, and we don't want you to do that. So whenever you focus a tab, we do indeed want to reconnect. Oh, for fuck's sake. When the hell do we want to show the disconnected model? Is it time-based? So if you went through the reconnect loop, because that's also the thing, like state-wise, you might have gone through the reconnect loop multiple times. Just fine because of hibernation or whatever. And then suddenly you have the tab in a state where you got uncleanly disconnected. And we still don't want to show the disconnected model until we actually try to reconnect again. So it's kind of like we go through the reconnect It's when we go through the reconnect loop. And is that the thing? It's when we go through the reconnect loop and it fails. Well, of course, that's when we want to show it, and we do. But that conflicts with if you close the lid on your computer and you get an unclean disconnect, like it can stop anywhere. Maybe it will try to reconnect. Maybe it won't because your computer is hibernating. Like, who the hell knows what state the tab is in when you open it up again? Maybe it even thinks it's still connected. Like, I don't know. It can be any kind of state. But the point is that if that state is that you were uncleanly disconnected, we don't want to show the disconnect model. But normally we want to show it. So there's no real way to really identify that you open the lid on your computer. So then what we have to do is, like, every time we have an unclean disconnect and you focus the tab, we have to immediately try to reconnect you. But then if you're in the scenario when you got disconnected, you focus the tab, you do a reconnect, and then you focus away, and then that reconnect failed. Ideally, we want to show you the disconnected model, because that confirms that we actually tried to connect when you focused and it didn't work. Well, what happens now is that every time you focus it, it will just remove the model because it's reconnecting again. Okay, so what we can do here, we can solve this actually in the editor. So currently when you do disconnected reconnecting, we remove the model. But we could actually still show it. Maybe that is a better user experience. So if you, for some reason, end up in an unclean disconnected state, and we try to reconnect you, we'll keep the model open instead. And then we'll just, like, what's it called? We'll disable the reconnect button. Yeah, I think we have to do that to solve all the scenarios, because then what would happen is if you close down the lid of your computer, you open it again, it's on the same tab, it focuses, it will just immediately reconnect because you are indeed disconnected, but it will remove the no, because then it will, for fuck's sake, it will still show the this, because this is the state you're in then. What we could do is that we could also say, if you ever get a disconnected event and you're not focusing, it becomes a clean disconnect. I think. No, that wouldn't work either. For fuck's sake. Yeah, I'm really not sure how to best. Oh my god, this is horrible. How do we want to show this disconnected model? Okay, so these updates we made, they are an improvement, that's for sure. Because now we at least keep the reconnecting loop going if it's first started, and that's a good thing. We also show the disconnected model only if we have an unclean disconnected state, regardless of your initial focus, which is also kind of a good thing, except that whenever you focus now and you're in a disconnected, you have the disconnected model, it will try to reconnect and it will hide the model again. And that feels like in the situation where you truly are disconnected and you're kind of trying to reconnect again and you're just flipping your tabs, you never see that model and you don't know why it's not working, and then like you have no indication. So what I think we could do to help this, to aid this a bit, is that we can show the reconnecting badge if we are in this this state. Freaking kids. So that means if you happen to focus the tab and reconnect, automatically will at least show the reconnecting badge. And the same goes if you happen to see the model. And click reconnect, will also show the reconnecting badge to help you understand that we're actually reconnecting. Now there is a scenario that we're not dealing with here. It's when there was an actual disconnect, intentional disconnect, when you have the freaking tab focused. Then there's nothing firing the reconnect. But the point is that you should never have a clean disconnect looking at the tab. But it means if it happens, you're stuck. Like it won't reconnect. It's as if you had like a button that said disconnect and you clicked it. You wouldn't expect it to just suddenly reconnect again, right? And you could even argue that if you focus the tab again, it should not reconnect either. But we do that. Like it's so weird. It's so insanely complicated. So what we'll do later here, like this is also legacy abstraction. It would basically be if we're hibernating, we wouldn't show the disconnect model. If we were disconnected, we would show the actual disconnected model. Okay, so let's think about it from that perspective. And whenever you refocus a tab, will automatically reconnect you. And then on the reconnecting, yeah, that's interesting because now we show the reconnecting badge based on the attempt. But if you already went through a reconnect loop, we want to show it all the time. Oh, for fuck's sake. And all of this is like we're in this minute detail iteration, like we're in iteration 10 or something, where we're really getting close to you just feeling it working all the time, regardless of hibernation or not. And that's how we want it to feel like. But so these are like edge cases where we really want to make it clear that, okay, we are actually not able to reconnect you. But it's so hard to detect those scenarios. Unless we could rely completely on the hibernated thing. But even during hibernated, you move into reconnecting. But we don't know how many times you went through the loop. We don't track that. We just track each loop. How many attempts has each loop tried? So we don't really have this state in Picture Client. And all this is just based on my assumption of what's happening when your computer hibernates and you open the lid again. I don't actually know, but I feel very confident that we can't really know what happens. So the VM could have hibernated. You had a clean disconnect. Maybe it still thinks you're connected because like the computer hibernated before it detected that you were disconnected. Maybe the computer makes a network disconnect and you actually are in a reconnecting state when you open the lid. I have no freaking idea. And we can't rely on anything. The point is that we don't want to show that fucking disconnected model when you open the lid of your computer. And if you happen to be in an unclean disconnected state, we'll show it, but since we immediately focus, it won't actually show because we immediately reconnect you. But then if you're actually reconnecting and it fails, you're also in a unclean disconnected state. And in that case, we do want to show the disconnected model. But then if you refocus, we don't want you to automatically reconnect. It's only for that very specific scenario when you're okay, so this is the gist of the thing. We want to know when you're refocusing the tab from computer hibernation, as opposed to when you're refocusing the tab, just refocusing the tab. That is the thing. And we don't know that. So that's why I'm so utterly stuck and have to make a compromise. So do we always show the disconnect model when we have an unclean disconnect, risking us showing it when you open the lid of your computer? We could try that at least. So that we only do automatic reconnect on stuff that we control. So that means VM hibernation. Then we'll do an automatic reconnect. But if we have no idea why you were disconnected, we'll show the disconnected model. We'll always try a reconnect first, given that you focus the tab. But that's also a thing. Like we have yeah. Maybe we shouldn't require you to be. So the thing is, you might be disconnected. So we know that there's been like disconnects from in infra related disconnects, and you might not be focusing the tab at that moment. So what would happen now is that you're not focused, you're not currently reconnecting. We put you into disconnected, unclean disconnect. And that means you would see the disconnected model when you focus back, like making the change I'm talking about now. And that's definitely not what we want. So we do want automatic reconnect. We do want automatic reconnect when you're focusing the tab, regardless of how you got disconnected. Okay, so we do want that. That's certain. But then if you are truly disconnected and we just keep reconnecting and you're moving through your tabs, because you don't want to sit in the tab and wait for it to reconnect, then you'll never truly know what's happening, because we don't really indicate that we're reconnecting until a few seconds has moved. So then you can argue like if the initial reconnect, it's almost like it would be so much simpler if we just showed reconnecting all the time. Whenever we reconnect, we'll just show it in the UI. But that's also a problem, because you will reconnect very often because of hibernation and you closing a computer lid and all that stuff. And we don't, and when that's just like shown for a second or two because you're just moving back to the VM, it's so obstructive. Like it just reminds you that you're in the cloud, that you're not quite ready to work yet, as opposed to when you just open your VS Code, you open the lid of your computer, you see VS Code, you just start working. And that's how it should feel like here as well. We want to hide all of that stuff. Now the thing is, we normally reconnect you on the first attempt, especially when we wake up the VM. Yeah, I don't have that data. got some data. We are tracking reconnections, so we know that most of the reconnects is made on a single attempt. So what we can do here is the badge, what's it called? Branch status. So here we have, oh, and this is interesting because reconnect attempts, I think that's wrong. That's why it's not showing. Disconnected, reconnecting. Yeah, you see this? I have a fucking typo. Where is it? Reconnect. That's what. Oh, okay. So I think, fuck's sake, I think that was actually the issue, because we weren't showing the reconnecting badge after the first attempt. So you never really knew that you were reconnecting. That was the problem. And it was just a type issue, for fuck's sake. So in this scenario where this user was like tabbing in and out, well, we did fix the reconnect loop though, so that it didn't restart every time you focused. So that's a good thing. But now also you will see the reconnecting badge after the first attempt. You didn't actually do that now. Yeah, so let's push that. Okay, but then I think I'm happy. Let's go someone where the model was expected, but it did not show. Okay, I'm going to restate this. Because what happens now is that if you are disconnected in the scenario, you're disconnected and you're truly disconnected, but you move away from the tab, it will just keep reconnecting. So when you move back into the tab, it will at least show reconnecting. The problem is still that if it moves through the reconnect loop, it won't show the disconnected model. Because if you're disconnected and you focus the tab, it will immediately move into the reconnecting state again. We can alleviate that in the project editor state itself. So whenever we move into disconnected and from that point do like the disconnected reconnect, when we're in this state, we can actually show the disconnected model. To better indicate that you're actually in a pretty bad state now. Yeah, so yeah, because that's the thing. Yeah, maybe we should do that. We should try that, because in the scenario of the hibernation, like your computer hibernation, when you lock the lid of your computer, you might get disconnected. But if you do get disconnected, it still needs to run through like 15 seconds of reconnecting before it actually moves into a full disconnected state, showing the model, which is very, very unlikely to be able to finish that. So when you open the lid of your computer, worst case is that you're still in a reconnecting state, and it will most likely reconnect you normally. It might show the badge, the reconnecting badge. I guess that's okay. But if you truly move to a disconnected state, it will show that model, and when you click reconnect, it will be there until you're reconnected. So for example, what could happen when you close the lid of your computer, maybe it actually disconnects all the network. And then a bit later, it actually goes to sleep. I have no idea. In that case, there is a chance that the reconnect loop goes through before the computer actually hibernates. But you know, we basically just have to test this. So what I think we're gonna do is keep the disconnected model when we are disconnected reconnecting, and then rather disable the button. Maybe? Fuck. Should we do that? Or should we use the branch status? And we already do that. So if we are disconnected reconnecting, we always show the reconnecting. Oh, this is interesting. We only show it when we're disconnected. That's wrong. Oh. This should be or. Because you have reconnect attempts also in the disconnected state. Wait. So wait a minute. Oh, now I'm. Yeah, sorry. So we have the reconnecting. Oh. Okay. So or container state. This is wrong. So if we are actually reconnecting, then we always show the reconnecting badge. But if we are initially reconnecting, and we only show it after the first attempt. This is how it was supposed. God damn it! So I did something wrong here. Okay, so let's bring this back now. So normally, when you're hibernated or you're disconnected for whatever freaking reason, it will start a reconnect loop. And that's the reconnecting state. And we don't show anything there because normally you'll reconnect it on the first attempt. If you're not reconnected on the first attempt, we'll show the badge. It starts spinning. So you understand that it's reconnecting. If it results in a disconnected, it will show the model, the disconnected model. Because it was unclean. But if you were to like focus a tab that was hibernated, for example, and it's currently disconnected, it won't show the disconnected model, which is good. Regardless, when you focus a tab, it will try to reconnect again, which means that if the disconnected model was there and you focus, it will remove itself because it moves into this state. But at least then you see the reconnecting badge. You didn't see that previously. And I think we can actually show the attempt here as well. Because what's good about showing that attempt is that you actually get feedback on it not being stuck. It's actually progressing. So, for example, you could say, oh, confusingly, container dot reconnect attempts. Yeah, I think we can just show it in Okay, but this is really good. Now it's really coming together. Okay. So the scenarios we need to handle is VM hibernated while you yeah, I'm just looking at the time. I have to go soon. Yeah, so we won't be able to actually test this, but at least we have a good PR now. So the scenarios we need to handle is VM got hibernated. A clean disconnect, unclean disconnect, initial reconnect loop, failed reconnect loop, retry reconnect loop. So the scenarios in terms of UX is VM got hibernated with a clean disconnect. Do not show disconnected model, but reconnect when focusing the tab. Okay, so yeah, so this is good. And then we have unclean disconnect. Unclean disconnect. Try reconnect when focusing the tab. So reconnect when focusing. Try reconnect immediately if tab is focused, or reconnect when focusing the tab. But do not show disconnected model. Try reconnect immediately if tab is focused, or reconnect when focusing the tab. That's the thing. Like if it disconnects when you're not looking at the tab, we shouldn't immediately reconnect, even if it's a unclean disconnect. Initial, do not show any information about the reconnect on first attempt, but show connecting spinner with number of attempts to show progress of reconnects, but show after first attempt with number of attempts to show progress of reconnects. Failed reconnect loop. Show the disconnected model if focused. Show the disconnected model. Show the disconnect. Show the disconnected model. Note when focusing tab again, it will automatically try to reconnect and not show the model, even though it was there. So retry reconnect loop, immediately show the connecting spinner with current attempt. Okay, this is good. This is exactly what we want to do. The scenarios, and we need to document this somewhere. The scenarios in terms of terms of disconnect reasons. Via a picture can send a notification for hibernation, which results in an immediate clean disconnect. We can have infra issues causing disconnects, which results in immediate reconnect and eventually disconnected. Internet conditions causing disconnects, which results in immediate reconnect and eventually disconnected. Computer hibernation causing either states, still connected, reconnecting, or disconnected. Or disconnected. Yeah, so this is interesting. So when connected, will quickly disconnect, will likely quickly detect disconnected and immediately reconnect. And then we have connecting or reconnecting. We'll just continue the reconnect loop and disconnected. So in this case, we will show the disconnected. Will technically show the disconnectable, but since immediately focused, opening lid, it will be removed and you will see reconnecting badge. So this is not ideal. Like in this scenario, you should not have seen the reconnecting badge on the first attempt. But since we are in actual disconnected, unclean disconnected state, that's what we're going to do. Because in the other scenario, we want you to see that we are actually trying to reconnect. This is not 100% ideal, but we favor... But should we do that? Should we? Yeah, but we favor... Maybe we don't do that. Maybe we don't favor... Maybe we should just see it after the first. Because you can argue that if we do show the disconnected model, you click... No, the thing is, if you refocus and you don't see the reconnecting badge, that's very confusing. Yeah, but we favor making sure that this is not 100% ideal, but we favor making sure that in general, when you have become unclean disconnected, we show the user that we are now reconnecting. As it can be confusing moving between tabs, firing off reconnects, and nothing happens in the UI until the second attempt. Okay. So this is my reasoning, at least, and I have to go now. Let's put some okay, cool. I'm happy about this. So I'm going to actually test this on my laptop, and then I'm going to write the test scenarios, and then we hopefully have one more iteration on what the hell is the type check share. Feature test, of course, and mocks. Yeah, so that one was wrong. Now let's go and fix the just before container feature test. What's wrong? Yeah, this should be was clean, false, whatever. Mocks was clean. Cool. We'll just add that. I wonder what if add was clean flag to picture it. Yeah, whatever. Did you see it actually put fix and then container in parentheses? That's also really impressive. Anyways, we're in a good state. I'm not sure how useful this was for anyone, but this is actually how this is very typically, like, especially if I'm tired, it takes me a long time to conclude on things, especially when it's surprisingly complicated. But at least we have it properly documented now, and hopefully it's clear that it's not very direct how to deal with this stuff. It's trade-offs and edge cases, and yeah. Cool. Thanks for watching, and we'll try to do this maybe even tomorrow. Okay, cool.